Python is undoubtedly king when it comes to programming language popularity. After all, currently the difference between the first and second most used languages is staggering. Python encompasses around 28%, while Java accounts for only 17% of all shares according to the Popularity of Programming Language Index. Golang or Go is even less common, but there are reasons why it's rapidly increasing in usage, which we will discuss in this video. To say that the difference between Go and Python is significant would be somewhat of an understatement. Both are easy to use and beginner-friendly, but when it comes to their purposes, they couldn't be more distinct. Therefore, another primary purpose of this video is to examine these differences and provide the strengths and weaknesses of both languages. When comparing Python to Go, the question of will Go eventually replace Python is often mentioned. Fundamentally, while there are some similarities between both languages, as a whole, each serves a drastically different purpose. For example, Go is commonly applied to microservice architecture and APIs, while Python is considered when development speed and readability are the top priority. You could claim that the key difference between Go and Python is mainly varying usage. Now, let's examine Python for a bit. As an older, dynamically typed language created in 1991, Python hadn't immediately jumped to the soaring popularity it enjoys now. Interestingly, even as recently as 2017, it was still the fourth most used language, though already then, numerous Python libraries and unparalleled assistance with data analysis and scientific computing made it a competitive choice. So what exactly does it offer? The creators of Python themselves state that it is a high-level interpreted language with a focus on object-oriented programming. Furthermore, Python is often outlined as a prime choice in many areas, like big data processing and data science. As a whole, Python is described as being a beginner-friendly language whose simplicity doesn't take away from its usefulness. Easily readable. Being void of any semicolons and brackets allows even inexperienced programmers to not get lost upon looking at it. Extensible, as it allows some Python code blocks to be written in other languages. Able to run on multiple hardware platforms while using the same interface. A high-level language, meaning when you create programs in Python, there is no need to remember architecture and one of the primary choices for AI and machine learning applications. It's also useful for GUI. Python offers plenty of support for graphical user interface in the form of libraries such as tkinter and pyqt5, a language full of helpful libraries. This can translate to a significant amount of time saved as you can avoid writing every single line of code yourself. Code from different languages can be used with Python's source code and vice versa. Open source and free. Such a feature is immediately attractive to anyone interested as there are no monetary barriers to prevent you from trying it out. But what about Golang? Well, the younger of the two, created in 2009, Go, a procedural language, seemingly has a lot of catching up to do. Interestingly, developed by Google, it was built with a particular goal in mind: to facilitate the construction of its backend services. However, anyone who's encountered Go before, you'll be aware that Go's usage has moved far beyond its initial purpose. When deciding if Go is the appropriate language for your projects, consider these vital features. It's a new language built by Google in an age of cloud computing, created with specific, modern, and technological goals in mind. Considered a portable language that's optimized for microservice architecture. It can compile to a single binary, ensuring the need for virtual machines and dependencies is non-existent. Completely open source. Clear and easy readability. Has the ability to be drastically quicker than Python. In some cases, Go is nearly 40 times faster. Efficient and commonly used in container technologies. Docker was written in Go and is considered among the top software containers. Supports concurrency through Go routines. Contains and supports powerful libraries, though the standard library is much smaller than Python's. Although, in order to analyze how each language can benefit you the most, we've compared them to each other. Overall, Python is beginner-friendly, incredibly versatile when compared to Go, offers a large variety of libraries and frameworks. Old language which allowed for the establishment of an in-depth communities and high degree of error-solving knowledge. Compared to other popular languages, it is rather easy to learn. Dynamically typed, object-oriented, has support for functional concepts, requires less code than Go, contains automated garbage collection and typing. Open source. Go, on the other hand, is significantly faster than Python. Performance is comparable to C++ and Java. Requires some coding skills that are transferable if you have used C# or C++. Contains automated garbage collection and typing as well. Well-scaled and highly supportive of concurrency, Go routines only take up to 2 kilobytes memory. Currently, it is the most in-demand language for employers. Open source. Has excellent concurrency patterns. Able to easily tune CPU and memory utilization with powerful profiling tools. While the advantages of both programming languages strongly outnumber the weaknesses, it is still essential to discuss the limitations of Python vs Golang, so let's examine them now. Python is slower than C# and C++, lacks memory management, more difficult to scale than Go. Overall weak development support for mobile applications. Go is more time-consuming than Python, especially when boilerplate code is concerned. Being a young language means less experience, for example, less support when solving errors. If we compare speed that we've already briefly mentioned, that Go beats Python in performance, but why is it that case? Once again, let's reiterate the point of both languages having varied purposes. Go, unlike Python, was explicitly designed with speed in mind. Thus, in most benchmarks, Go is seriously outperforming it. Interestingly, Go is so much quicker than it even reached faster results when compared to Java, a language that is widely considered to already be more rapid than Python. To further analyze the different performances of Go vs Python, take a look at a Stack Overflow example provided in our blog post, which you can find in the description below. Within it, a program counts to 1 billion. Go script finishes it in less than a second, while Python takes entire minutes because it lacks the concept of natively typed variables. Python has to recognize the type of variables each time, meaning no static typing. Be advised, though, that this is true for the reference implementation of Python, which is CPython. The other implementations might not have this problem at all. PyPy, Jython, Nuitica. Therefore, if a developer's requirements are performance-conscious, then Golang might be the more attractive language. Interestingly, a simple test in 2021 was conducted to experiment and see what Go versus Python performance was within public web data scraping. The test scraped stock ticket prices from Yahoo. When Python was considered, the BeautifulSoup library was chosen as it allowed for parsed, structured data scraping. With Go, Go query with Go routines for multi-threading was the pick as the optimal approach to web scraping. As the name suggests, Go query is a library that is very similar to jQuery. Two sets were done for the public web data scrapers, one being 2000 URLs on 7 threads and the other 500 URLs on 5 threads. Somewhat unsurprisingly, the results were staggeringly unequal. On average, Golang's performance was more than twice as fast when compared to Python. It truly is rather clear that Go is significantly more suited for most public web data scraping needs, if your needs are performance-based. Furthermore, such a conclusion comes as no surprise, as within the performance speed section, it was outlined that Go is made with speedy performance in mind. For further reading, see video description below. If you feel that building a web scraper from scratch is overwhelming, we offer an all-in-one public data gathering solution, Web Scraper API. You can try it for free and figure out if it's a suitable option for your public data collection projects. When considering Python or Golang, scalability can be easily among the top concerns. However, similarly to speed, there is a clear victor between the two languages. Once again, like with performance, Go was built with scalability in mind. By default, the lightness of its Go routines ensures that going from small to large scale will still prevent your memory from being overburdened. However, if we discuss machine learning, then Python is considered as the top language choice. Machine learning requires easy, simple, but effective solutions, as huge datasets are the primary use case for applying ML. Python's easy structure, simple syntax, and high efficiency work wonders in such a case. Thus, the question may arise, why should you consider Golang for ML when an already existing, popular, and effective language exists? The answer lies in the primary advantages of Go. Like Python, it is easy to learn and simple to use. Still, unlike Python, its performance is better, handles concurrent programming well, and compiles down to a single binary, meaning when deploying, dependency management is unnecessary. Of course, it also has limitations, yet some of them are less applicable to ML. Therefore, with a handful of benefits being tailored to some ML applications, Go can be at times a consideration for machine learning. While in some use cases, when comparing Go and Python, there is a winner, it probably becomes apparent that choosing between the two isn't as simple as it could initially appear. Both languages were built with different strengths in mind, which is abundantly clear when we look at the above discussed use cases. Crucially, some strengths or weaknesses may be more or less irrelevant depending entirely on your project requirements. Nevertheless, the critical conclusion is that while Go is unlikely to replace Python completely, it has become a serious consideration when speed, scalability, scraping, and possibly ML is considered. Thank you for watching and see you next time.